Hi, you guys, and welcome back to my channel, Numbers with Nora. This is a math tutoring channel that helps you with all your math needs. For this specific video, we are going to be doing geometry, and we're going to be doing law of sine and law of cosine, okay? So before we sit there and jump into some example problems, let me go over the notes that you need for this. So we're going to be dealing with right triangles, and we're going to be looking at our opposite side, our hypotenuse, which is across from our 90-degree angle, and our adjacent side, which is the angle which is the side that's left over. We're also going to be using our trig functions. The only trig functions that we need to know for this one are sine, cosine, and tangent. And I have which ones that you will put over one another. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. Also, for my examples, they ask us to round, so I just put the place value chart there just in case. And then also our formulas that we're going to be using. For law of sine, it's going to be A, which is our side, over sine of A. When you have a trig function with a variable, most likely that variable represents an angle, okay? And then B over sine of B, and then C over sine of C, okay? And then also for law of cosine formula, we're going to have C squared, which is our side, A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of C. Again, this is our unknown. Our C squared is our unknown side. Our cosine of C is our unknown angle, okay? You don't have to memorize these. I suggest writing them down in your notebook and having them next to you when you sit there and do your homework. So it will kind of, like once you repeat it, it will kind of get stuck in your head. All right. So again, shout out to one of my 2Ds, Donia, who let me use her delta math as some examples that we are using. Okay. Again, if you ever need help with your delta math, just sit there and put something in the comments. Send me a picture and I will show you step by step how to get the correct answer. I'm here to help you guys out. Okay. So for this one, we are going to be using law of cosines. I know I'm going to be using law of cosines because I don't have any side angle side going on, and I don't have any side side going on. In the next video, when I show you law of cosines, I'll show you how to see if you can use law of sines or law of cosines. But for this video, we're just going to be using law of sines, okay? So I notice right here that I have an unknown side that I need to find, x. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit there and set up my law of sine. We don't have to find all three. Okay, I know in the formula it sits there and says A, B, and C, but we only need two sides, okay? So for this one, the corresponding side to this angle is going to be this x, and this is a 90-degree angle. So I start out by writing x, my side, over my sine of my angle degree, so sine of 90. Of 90. And then that's going to be equal to, I have my side, this is my corresponding angle. Don't panic when you don't have that angle, okay? Because I have my other two angles. And from our geometry, our geometry theorem of triangles, we already know that if I sit there and add up all my angles in a triangle, it will equal to 180. So if I do 40 plus 90 minus 180, I'm going to get 50, okay? So this is 50 degrees. All right, so now I'm going to have 50 over 60, or sine of 64. Oh, my apologies. Wasn't paying attention. I'm going to have my side 64 over sine of 50. Okay. Now I can sit there and cross multiply. All right, because we're going to sit there and solve for x, and we're going to treat this just like we treat our algebraic expressions when we're solving down. All right, so butterfly method, cross multiply. I do 64 times sine of 90. And that's going to be equal to x times sine of 50. Now we want to sit there and isolate our x. We can look at our trig functions as like they belong together like this in parentheses. All this is like one piece. Okay. So to sit there and isolate my x, I can divide both sides by sine of 50. Okay. Just like what we learned back in algebra. Divide both sides by sine of 50. And then after we do that, notice I can sit there and cross these out. Okay, those cancel out. And just for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and erase that so I don't have to rewrite the whole thing again. I get x is equal to 64 times sine of 90 over sine of 50. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do this on the calculator. This is a computer scientific calculator. If you need help inputting this into the calculator, leave a comment. I will sit there and show you step by step how to put this into your calculator. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to do 64 times, and then I have to put in 90 first, and then my trig function, which is sine. Okay. And then divide that by, it's going to be 50, and then sine. Okay. And our answer is going to be 83.5. Okay, because they wanted us to round to our nearest tenth. And I have that answer right here, 83.5. Right? So let's go on and do another example. Again, we're going to be using law of sines. And so let's go for it. Right? So let's set up our problem. This is our unknown angle or unknown side, and this is its corresponding angle. So let's set this up. Again, we're going to sit there and use our theorem about triangles. When I add up all my angles of a triangle, they equal 180. So I do 32 plus 90 and subtract that from 180. That's going to get me 60 degrees. Okay. Now I'm good to go and set this up. So I do x over sine of 60. And that's going to be equal to, because that corresponds with this side, and this side corresponds with this angle, 4.9 over sine of 90. Sine of 90. Okay. Now that I have that set up, I can sit there and cross multiply just like we did in the other one. So that's 4.9 times sine of 60. And that's equal to x times sine of 90. Again, we want to sit there and isolate our x variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by sine of 90. So those will cancel out. Sine of 90. Sorry, my pen is lagging on me. That's why it's writing so slow. And then sine of 90. There we go. Once I do that, again, these will cancel out. All right. And so your equation will be x equals 4.9 sine of 60 over sine of 90. All right. So for this one, plug this into your calculator like I did in number 1. And the answer you should get will be 4.2. Okay. Let's go ahead and do one more. All right, for this one, we have to find x again. And again, we're going to use law of sine. So I look at my corresponding side and angles. I have x over sine of 90. My side I'm trying to find is x. My angle that is corresponding to that is sine of 90. 90. And this is going to be equal to this side we have, and they give us this angle this time. So that's going to be 35 over sine of 40. Again, I cross multiply using algebra to sit there and solve for x. So I have 35 sine of 90 equals x sine of 40. Ah, okay. And then again, divide both sides by sine of 40. All right. And those will cancel out. You sit there and plug it into your calculator and do your calculator work. And the answer you shall get will be down here, 54.5. Okay. And that's your rounded answer to it, the nearest tenth. If you have any delta math questions or you're stuck on one and don't get the right answer, please leave a comment or picture in the comments below, and I will show you step by step how to get the correct answer. Remember, I'm here to help you guys with your math and succeed in your math journeys. All right. So the next video I'm going to do is going to be on the law of cosines, and I'll do also 3 delta math questions on there. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in.